Mick, thanks for joining us here on the Eck Factor blog. Always nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
I want to ask you first about your WrestleMania Dream Vacation sweepstakes.
Yeah, thanks for asking me. It starts on February 29th, runs through March 15th, so that we have a 15-day period. Want to end it like after Raw, so we get that last-minute rush. And it is a great, we call it a sweepstakes now instead of a raffle, because actually we do sweepstakes, a lot of, even a bigger percentage of what we bring in goes directly to Reign. So 100% of the profits have always gone to Reign, just the profits will be a little bit higher this year. And Reign is the largest anti-sexual assault organization in the United States. It's not an easy subject to talk about or an easy group to raise money for. Like, no one wears, you know, I've got my autism awareness wristband. Nobody's going to wear a bracelet, you know, and no one's going to have a golf tournament. So this is our way of creating awareness and raising money, and I'm so proud of the fact that wrestling fans have raised over $400,000 that have gone directly to Reign. And this year I'm confident that with everything that's in there, open to anyone in the world, as long as they get to a major airport, the round-trip air transportation, 5 nights hotel, great tickets to Mania, great tickets to the Hall of Fame, great tickets to Raw, great tickets to NXT, access, and then I'll get on the phone and I'll call everybody I've ever known in the business, and like Gabe Sapolsky at Evolve, and the guys at ROH, and I'll be like, you want to throw in a couple tickets, you know, and so I will. This is, I'm not ashamed of the fact at all that I will bother everyone I've ever met in wrestling and ask them to tweet it out, get the word out, and together, you know, wrestling fans really make a huge difference.
That's awesome. That's great work. It really is. Let me change gears just a little bit.
Yeah.
Your son Dewey,
Yes.
working in WWE Creative, something I know a little bit about. How do you feel about your son getting into the business and getting in on that side of it?
I warned him against it. I said, it's a hard job, and it's a thankless job, and you're going to have to pay your dues. But he really wanted to do it. It was his dream. He, you know, he went about it. You know, the only thing I ever did was ask someone where he could send his resume. That's the only hand I played at all. So I saw something I mentioned to you earlier. Somebody on social media said, "Is Dewey Foley to blame for Backlash? Yay or nay?" And I thought, first of all, I enjoyed Backlash. For me, I see 3 great matches, 2 really good ones. Fastlane, sorry. I was happy with it, but I was like, if they think a writer's assistant is to blame, you know, you can't take the credit or the blame, because you've been there. You take a lot of notes. You run off a lot of copies.
Dunkin' Donuts runs.
Dunkin' Donuts runs. I know that Triple H brings his own coffee.
Starbucks, yep.
So, yeah, he's enjoying it. It's hard, you know. And it should be hard. And he's starting at the bottom where you should start. There's not a lot of money involved, and there shouldn't be at the beginning. But it's his dream, and he's pursuing it.
What are your thoughts, just in general, on the current WWE product? Who are you impressed with?
Yeah, I get things that say, I thought you weren't going to watch Raw anymore. And I was like, well, no. I said I was on the verge. I said I was on the verge. What had upset me was that it seemed like there were specific people that the fans wanted to see as a bigger part of the company who weren't being utilized properly. And I did get upset when the first Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch match went 3 minutes, because I thought, here's a chance for 2 people to really step up. And people have been injured. There's a chance to make new stars. But since that point, I've got to say, I'm generally speaking very happy. You know, Kevin Owens, a big part of the mix. Sasha made that return at Rumble, and it's very clear that big things are happening for her. Becky Lynch turned in like 6 just incredible weeks where, you know, she was the only real babyface of the group.
True.
She showed vulnerability, which is hard to do. I mean, and she got over, but while losing matches, and the promos she gave were just like the kind that give you goosebumps. So
She surprised me with the promos.
yeah, and she always told me she could, you know, and she would ask me like if she thought she should try to get more. This back when she was NXT, and I was like, I had no idea that she could. And when I asked her about it, she was like, I always knew I could. That was a horrible brogue. Sorry about that, Becky. I always knew I could. That was even worse. She knew she could. And,
Helicopters are flying in for this interview here.
I have been happy. I think the last Raw was really exciting. The return of Shane O'Mac is something that I brought up on Stone Cold's podcast. Some people who were not happy with the conclusion of Fastlane have to admit it's gotten kind of interesting there, and I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a very good Mania.
Let me again change gears on you from a piece that you wrote. I guess it went on Facebook about Ashley Graham, the plus size, Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. Talk about what the piece that you wrote and the kind of reaction that you've got.
Yeah, I was really surprised, very pleasantly surprised, because generally speaking, if I write a piece that isn't wrestling related, it doesn't fare very well. And sometimes there are things I just feel like I have to put out there. And I happened to read a comment that supermodel Cheryl Teagues had said to E! Entertainment in regards to Ashley being on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And I think it was, I don't like that we're talking about plus-size women because it glamorizes them. And it says something Dr. Oz had said about a woman's waist should be less than 35 inches. And the word them bothered me. It really bothered me, and it bothered me that someone who should know better, somebody who's been in the fashion industry for almost 50 years, could say something that sounded kind of ignorant. And I was really just going to find the cover and say something like, hey, doesn't Ashley look great? And then I just thought, I'm going to try to write something a little deeper. And did not think it would, I didn't think it would, I just thought it would kind of come and go, but it really struck a nerve with people in a positive way. And as I mentioned to you before we did started talking on air, I said I like the response from women, especially, and women of larger size was, it was really touching. And for the first and only time, I spent an entire day answering, comments. I mean, I think I answered 400 or 500, and it felt like a really important thing to do. So it's not. Some people say, "Oh, isn't that promoting obesity?" No, it's trying to accept people the way they are, and the fact is that diet and exercise is not going to overtake genetics, and some people are just going to gravitate. And I was always the heavy kid. Never a photo where I wasn't the heavy kid, and I exercised and I ate right, and I was always the heavy kid. And so I think people out there should look at someone like Ashley Graham, know that other people find her to be beautiful. Like I seriously, not a knock on any other body types out there, but after looking at her, my personal thought was, how could anyone want anyone but like that? There's someone for everyone out there. If you're a person of larger size, believe me, there are people out there who like people of larger size. If you're a person very slender, you're not going to be at a loss for attention. So thank you for bringing it up. I remember when a couple weeks back, a young lady that I knew from my tour in Ireland, she and her husband came to the show, and I went out to eat with them, and she had said she'd just gotten into modeling, and it said something about body acceptance and curves, and I said, I've always thought you look great just the way you are. And so some guy responded like, okay, kind of creepy, but whatever. And I said, no, it's not creepy. It's supporting a friend and asking people to accept themselves. And I got a really nice tweet from Soledad O'Brien. A very credible and respected correspondent, and also a former neighbor of mine.
Really?
And she was like, damn, I love Mick Foley. And I sent a message back to her, and so it resonated. It got picked up by some of the feminist websites, and I'm proud of that. Proud to be considered a hardcore feminist.
Awesome.
I'll wear that hat any day.
Before I let you go, I know
Yes.
you and I in the past have talked some politics. So, what do you make of this whole Donald Trump thing?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. The other
Fellow
guy,
WWE Hall of Famer like yourself.
yeah, in the same class.
That's right.
I got a little resentment towards Donald. I gotta be honest, because when I was announced in front of 75,000 people at MetLife Stadium, while I was waving, all I could think was, did they really need to wake me up at 7:30 a.m. to rehearse this? But best-selling author, they're gonna tell me what star to stand on. I was like, Donald Trump didn't have to be here at 7:30.
I'll feel bad for you because I was at that rehearsal.
Yeah, 7:30. I had a party going at Foley's in New York City. Had to leave there early. I had the Foley family in a nice hotel in Midtown, and then I had to go to Hackensack to be up at 7:30. Look, I don't want to divide people, but it's an awful crew there. My 15-year-old walked in towards the end of the presidential debate, and when he said, who's doing all this arguing? And I said, this is the Republican debate. He said, it sounds like a bunch of kids.
It really did.
Exactly. It is the finger point. It's awful. I think it's, honestly, I think it's a terrible crew. And honestly, a couple of the guys I did like are out of the race. You see a level-headed guy like Governor Kasich, who probably doesn't stand a chance. It's just such a mean-hearted business where the idea that you have to say things that people know aren't true in order to gain acceptance, that we know people are going to lie about their beliefs to get the vote, and then we know they're going to change to get more of a mainstream middle vote. And they call our business fake. I swear, I'm fed up with it. I want no part of it. I understand we have to vote. We have to have some say. But if they understood how ridiculous they sound, and that an 8th grader takes class and say, oh no, but it's the president's responsibility to appoint a nominee to the Supreme Court.
Right.
Oh, he's supposed to wait until. It's just baffling, and this is coming from a guy who worked for many years for Mr. McMahon. So I don't like it at all. I'm not as interested as I once was. I try to make a difference in a way, where I can tangibly see the difference. When people help rain, I know that literally thousands of people get helped out by the rain raffle. When I make a write an article and there's a great response like that one, I can see that it's touching people. I'm not a fan of politics at all. Although I will say, one thing I've learned is when I do my Q&As at the live shows, it's only through watching Tim Russert on Meet the Press and watching politicians deliberately give a different answer, give an answer to a question that's never asked, that I can shift a bad question and turn it into a good story by pretending I was asked a different question than I was. I did learn that from politics.
You have turned somewhat of a negative.
Yeah, a little bit there, a little bit.
Well, Mick, again, I really appreciate you.
You had to get me going. You
I did.
had to get me going. I'm all riled up on that.
I appreciate you spending some time, and Mick, you're many things. You're a WWE Hall of Famer, hardcore legend, but to me, you will always be the greatest general manager in Saturday Morning Slam history.
Oh, Saturday Morning Slam.
Well, because we worked on that show together.
One funny story, right? Bret Hart is really doing well, right? He's
recovering from prostate.
Yeah, Bret is. I got a really nice text from him. They're looking a lot better for Bret. So one night at an independent show in Illinois, I came up. They wanted us to do something in the ring, and I go, Bret, you know how I like to go out there and kind of do some kind of silly stuff. He's like, okay, what do you want? We ended up going out, and I was saying I had a problem with him saying he was the best there is, the best there was, if there will be, and we got words, and I say, because nobody was a better commissioner than me. He said, you were talking about being the commissioner? I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah, you were a little better at that than me. And I went, did you think I was talking about wrestling? Oh, you were way better than me. And it was just a nice moment with Hitman. It looks like Hitman's going to have a lot of more great moments because apparently he did a nice job when he's on the men. So thanks everybody. Have a nice day.
Thanks, Mick.